Hey, it's Nathan Lamey here from Urban Boxing Studios. Today we are going to look at hand defense. We're going to look at catches, parries, and cover-up blocks. Also talk about how you can counter from those techniques. First defense we're going to look at, or hand defense we're going to look at, is going to be a catch. Okay. So good fundamentals in our guard. Elbows tucked in, hands up. From here, when we catch punches, simple as turning out the palm of our hand and catching our opponent's punch. We want to make sure that we're not blocking our face, we're not covering up, we can still see over our hands, we're just turning those hands over and blocking our opponent's attack. Now when we're catching punches, we really don't want to be meeting the punch when we catch it. If we're taking our hands away from our face, we're also exposing our chin to counters. Our opponents might read this and might fake before they send their attacks. And they might then exploit us taking our hand away from our guard. So we want to keep those elbows in nice and tight, just turning the hand over and catching those techniques. The second hand defense that we're going to look at is going to be a parry. Okay. Now, initially when we see people incorporating parries into their boxing at Urban Boxing Studios, we tend to see big movements as they parry. The best way that I can explain a parry is, again, a nice tight guard, but from here, imagine a fly lands on your nose. All you're doing is swiping the fly off your nose. The aim of the parry is to deflect your opponent's punch. So we can parry downwards, we can parry to the side. So downwards or to the side, okay? The most important thing when we parry is to make sure if our opponent sends their right hand, we parry with our left. If our opponent sends their left hand, we parry with our right. We don't want to be crossing our hands over, because if we cross our hands over, it's going to be very difficult for us then to counter from there. So making sure that when we parry either down or to the side, we are making sure that we're using the appropriate hand. If we are going to be countering off a parry, for example, we're going to check our opponent's hand down. I'm going to roll over the top, sending a jab, or roll over the top, sending a cross. We can also use our footwork. So if we're parrying our opponent's hand offline, from here, as we parry, we can also pivot off the parry and counter our opponent. The reason that we're pivoting, because as we parry our opponent's hand, we're knocking them offline. By pivoting at the same time, we're making it impossible for them to hit us because we've basically crossed their hands over. So as you parry, pivot and counter, or on the other side, you can parry and cross, or parry and hook. On the opposite side, stepping your rear leg out and changing the angle on your opponent. The third technique that we're going to look at is blocking straight techniques and bent arm techniques. Okay, so again, from a solid guard, good fundamentals. When we're blocking straight techniques, again, it's important that we're blocking our opponent's rear hand or right hand with our left hand, and blocking their lead hand with our right hand. So when we're blocking, all we're going to do is roll the shoulder and catch on our forearm. Okay? Now, really important, you notice that rolling my shoulder enables me to block that central area. Okay? So rolling your shoulder into the center and catching on your forearm. That's blocking straight techniques, jabs and crosses. Okay, if we're going to block hooks, when we're blocking hooks, we want to be doing a similar thing, but from here, as we roll, we're going to lift up and block using our forearm and protecting the side of our face. On the other side, bringing the two together. Good. Hips and shoulders rotating. Good. Catching those hooks. If we're blocking bent arm techniques, often if our opponent's going to hook us and we're blocking that hook, they're going to be leaving a nice gap down the center line for you to counter. So it's always a good idea, if you're blocking on your left side, to counter with your left side. It means your opponent's already sent that technique, it's spent, it can't hit you again, and they're also open down the center line for a counter. And on the opposite side, block and fire your cross down the center line as they will be open. You can also catch counter by rolling and hooking with the other side. Rolling and hooking with the other side. For our final hand defense, we're going to look at cover-ups. I'm not a fan of cover-ups. Cover-ups are telling your opponent that I'm in survival mode, I'm not going to hit you back, and you can hit me as often as you like. Okay? There is a time and place for cover-ups. You might be really under pressure and you might really need to absorb a lot of shots and try and get yourself to a safe place or hold on. So yeah, there's a place for it. So we have to show you how to do it. However, I'm not a fan. I always think you should be able to be looking to catch and counter, block and counter. There should always be something coming back the other way. Also, in terms of points fighting and in terms of showing the referee that you still want to fight, covering up is not a great idea. So covering up against straight techniques, so jabs and crosses. If your opponent's sending a jab cross and you want to cover up, nice and simple, nice solid guard, all you're doing is going to turn your knuckles to face your opponent, keeping your elbows together and blocking those techniques. Okay, nice and simple. The next cover-up, blocking hooks. From here, we are going to make sure we cup our ear, elbow nice and high on both sides. If you find your opponent sending lots of hooks, lots of combinations, loading up on those hooks, you can also cover up, keeping the elbows tucked in, looking forwards, elbows tucked in, and rolling with those hooks. Okay? The final cover-up that we're going to look at is a cover-up that I don't really like. Crossed arms. You might see Derek Chisora do this. He does this a lot. He walks through punches with his arms crossed. Basically, he's saying, I'm not going to hit you, I'm just going to walk through what you're going to send at me, and there will be a point where I can either get nice and tight and working close, or I'm just going to grab hold of you and stop you hitting me. So crossed arms, blocking the face, and walking forwards into your opponent. Hope you enjoyed today's workout. Please incorporate it into your shadow boxing and heavy bag workouts. It's really important that you visualize your opponent hitting you back, getting into good habits, preempting counter attacks and being ready for them. Please let us know how you got on in the comments below, and please like, share, press the notifications bell and subscribe. You will then be the first to see new videos as they go live. There's always fresh content, a new video every single day.